Brownies are mine, but if you're on time.
Yes.
Everything.
There was a lot of traffic right on campus.
Yeah, I didn't run anybody.
Good job.
Yeah,
Good, you know,
That's
drinking
the
water is important.
Yeah.
Murders.
yeah, and I'm really impressed that they have a crossing guard. It's like, aren't you in college? Crossing guard.
I think it's because it'll be just a steady train and no one will be invited. They'll just keep on walking. No one will like stop. They need that crossing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
Right here, I live.
Okay. Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
This wonderful day, right? Before we get started, I would just like to take just a couple moments and just for silence for those whose lives were lost 23 years ago now. It seems amazing, but just bow your heads or you don't mind for just a couple of seconds for those 9/11 who unexpectedly lost their lives, you know, and it was such a terrible incident. Thank you. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Again, this is our Hudson 7 meeting for September. Today is September 11th, and we're here at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Plant. My name is Gary Bassett. I'm the mayor of the Village of Rhinebeck and also chair of the Hudson 7. The Hudson 7 is a hybrid meeting, which will be live streamed to Hudson 7's YouTube channel, which it is right now. And the public is advised to subscribe to this channel to be able to watch remotely. Our in-person meetings occur here at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility located at 3431 North Road, Poughkeepsie. Public comment is allowed both in person and remotely. Please visit our website to learn how you can provide public comment by visiting www.hudson7.org or visit our meeting page. So in attendance tonight, we're going to go around the room. We do have a quorum has been confirmed, but I'm going to start to my right.
Hi, I'm Dottie DeNoble. I am the laboratory director at Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility and a technical director to Hudson.
Rebecca Martin, Source Water Protection Coordinator, Consultant.
Dan Shapley with Riverkeeper and a technical consultant.
Hi, Ann Shershin. I'm the deputy supervisor, town of Poughkeepsie.
Danielle Freer, Supervisor, Town of Esopus.
Hello, Nick Butler, Port Huron Water Superintendent, Town of Esopus.
Eric Weinstock, I'm a geologist and I'm on the CAC for the town of Hyde Park.
Richard Distel, Development Department, City of Poughkeepsie.
Mike Forging, I am a DW SB2 technical system provider with DOH.
I'm Devin Rigolino, Environmental Program Director for Dutchess County.
And vice chair.
And Vice Chair.
John Turns, Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority, Acting Executive Director.
Visitor. Again, I'm having two on screen.
Yes, I am. You're up.
Hi, Emily Svensson, Technical Advisor.
All right, thank you, everybody. So meeting has been called to order, roll call has been determined, quorum has been determined. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was on August 14th.
Motion.
Second,
I'll second.
thank you, Ann. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Welcome.
Hi,
We just got through roll call. Please, for everybody else, announce.
Liz Mosquito, Town of Hyde Park.
Thank you.
Liz, you want to join us?
Yeah. Okay, I believe we're gonna pass on the treasurer's report.
Yeah.
All right, our treasurer is out of away, let's put it that way, and unable to be with us, but we'll catch up with that next month. Is that okay with everybody?
Just one question before I move on. Do we have the quorum the whole time and now that Ann's here? Because I know Liz had to leave at 5:30.
Yeah,
Ann, are you here the entire?
I'm here the entire time.
Great. So we don't have to put decisions.
Okay, Rebecca, your report.
So my August report, I've posted online and I've sent in your source materials. Does anyone have any questions?
You guys should drill her. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
keep her to task. Even her. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Communications.
Okay, so we have 3 communications and 1 new communication that came in. The first is that the drinking water source protection program was recently made aware of a scam phone call.
Oh,
I don't know if you want to explain that a little bit. I can read what's here, but maybe you.
That probably is as much detail as I have.
There was a scam phone call to participating communities claiming to be with the source water protection program. The individual who called community was trying to obtain financial account information. Please note DWSP2 does not provide any funding to participating municipalities. It's all technical assistance and would not ask for financial information. This communication was forwarded to our DWSP2 committee.
And emphasize, if anyone from DWS2 even remotely mentions finances, asks for any information regarding finances, just hang up. That's not us. That freaked us out.
Kind of like the IRS. The IRS doesn't call you by phone either.
Yeah.
All by letter.
We were able to get a copy of the EPA's Lower River Sampling and Investigations community update. That was a public meeting on August 28th. And there's a link to that meeting in the agenda. Also, the Hudson River Watershed Alliance just opened a new office in the city of Kingston. They're celebrating with an open house on Tuesday, September 24th, for anybody who wishes to go, at 36 St. James Street. The new communication is that the Hudson River Watershed Alliance is organizing their conference in October the 22nd at the FDR Presidential Library, which we discussed last month. But this month they've asked Gary to participate, to join a panel as part of a group of watershed groups working on drinking water. And so it's a full day event, but the panel that Gary would be a part of is from 12:30 to 1:15 with a 5-minute presentation on the Hudson 7. And they're giving 1 ticket. They cost $150 each. So Gary will have a ticket. And we wondered if
I'm sorry, it's not $150 each.
Yeah.
It's $75.
Oh,
That's not what we saw.
it's not on your website.
It says 150.
That's for sponsors.
Oh. So then Gary's ticket is 75.
Tickets are $75.
Oh.
And there's a discounted ticket option for anyone that can't afford that.
Okay. Well, under a different assumption, we thought it was 150 a piece. We talked about whether or not the Hudson 7 wanted me to be in attendance. And if so, if the Hudson 7 would be willing to purchase a ticket so that I can attend. And we were thinking maybe there's a Brook sponsorship for the Hudson River Estuary Program for $150. We could be a sponsor and be listed inside of all the materials in their catalog. So this is a little different than we had anticipated. And also for $150, we could set up a table and be there all day long, separate from, but I just wanted to provide the option. So I guess, does the Hudson 7 want to buy a ticket where I could attend?
All right, so the motion on the table is to become a sponsor for $150. That way both tickets are covered. If we wanted, I mean, I would like for Rebecca to go, but if anybody else is interested in going, I'm open to that discussion as well. It's not limited to anybody in particular. So if anybody else has any interest to want to attend, we
Because
can.
there'd be 2 tickets in addition. You're going as a spot, you're as a speaker, you don't have
Oh, I
any
thought
ticket.
mine was.
So you're
Mine
talking about getting
covered
2.
Or a Hudson 7
Yeah.
extra ticket. But as a sponsor, we would get a ticket.
So-
One ticket.
One ticket.
Okay, gotcha.
But
So I-
be listed in all the materials on the day. And the money can come from the interest.
Correct.
Okay.
I thought so.
What's that?
I'm sorry.
All right, so a motion to
Be a sponsor, make
be a
a
sponsor.
$150 sponsorship called Brook Sponsor to be listed in the Hudson River Watershed Alliance's upcoming conference on drinking water.
For a second.
second.
Thanks, Ann. Discussion. Does anybody else want to go?
What day is it again?
The 22nd of October, which I think is a Tuesday.
It's the 24th.
September 24th.
It's definitely October.
No, the main session is Tuesday, October 22nd, which is from 9 to 3. And then there's, before that, on Wednesday, October 16th, there's a virtual session with some kind of basic information to set the stage for the conference.
The 24th is the open house.
Gotcha.
In September.
Okay.
That's September 24th, yeah.
All right, all in favor
That's
of
free.
becoming a
So-
sponsor and purchasing and having Rebecca Martin take the ticket? Say aye. Aye. So done.
Great.
Well, thank you.
That's the end of the communications.
Okay, next on the agenda. Those who have been participating, we've had a couple meetings now with Chippy.
There's no public comment.
Right, I didn't, wasn't already there.
Yeah.
Right, so I just took over. So we've had two meetings. The last meeting was this morning, which laid out more of a detailed plan of what they're doing and how they're doing it, and where they're doing it, and et cetera, which was, quite honestly, we've been, thanks to, SOPAS, we learned of a change in the process. Right, and we wanted to gather our facts first. We wanted to make sure that the process we assumed was happening, but we wanted to know for sure where it was happening and what their schedule was. For those who have not been following, the process changes. We've always assumed that this was a jet plow. And what's happening now is they came through the river and laid the cable with a surface lay, and now they're coming back with another tool called an RBT, remedial burial tool, which is kind of like a knife shear. Dragging it down, cable falls into place and gets buried into place. They did, without our involvement, they ran a test, exact replica of the test that we ran when we ran it a year and a half ago, how long ago? Yeah. It was
Remember.
2022. And then gave us the results. Our technical team analyzed the results, have no concerns in terms of the results. The main issue that really was upsetting was the fact that they did all this without any communication. So they lost a lot of trust and a lot of confidence in this council in terms of what they're doing. So we've been holding them to task to do that. We got through a very detailed technical review again this morning, and we're back to a follow-on process. They're going by the village of Rhinebeck this evening. They're going to be hitting the SOPAS
26th.
Wednesday.
26th.
Yeah, the next Wednesday.
You mean they're digging.
They're going to do the shear and bury the cable. The cable's laid until they get to south of Hyde Park, and then they go back to burial south of Hyde Park. And so here's the schedule, basically. You can see once they get south of the Poughkeepsie Bridge, they ended the burial, and then they started with the surface lay, which goes all the way down through to Hyde Park.
I'm just gonna share. May I share? So that I can see.
Yeah.
Did they describe why they're changing it from the jet plow to the?
They have, yes. But they also said they have multiple tools to be able to choose from now from their arsenal. This is a new tool that they added to their arsenal. It does the same thing as a jet plow, except with a different type of attachment. So they went to the Public Service Commission and got approval for that tool to be able to use it in certain areas. And one of the areas they're using that tool is here. It wasn't because they couldn't use the jet plow. But this tool became more effective for them to use in terms of actually using the jet plow through here, and becomes another tool in their arsenal. Issue was they didn't tell us. Okay.
Gary, the change notice that they issued from 15 August, was that particular to Cementon? Was that only?
That was Cementon.
So that wasn't an umbrella for anywhere else?
No,
Okay.
that
There
was
was
bigger.
no knowledge
Right,
that was submitted to the PSC that we saw, unless it was much earlier.
right. But it looked like it was flipped the following day and approved. I think it was the 15th that was submitted and approved on the
I don't
16th.
remember the date of approval, but that was just
Yeah.
particular to Cementon.
Only Cementon.
Yeah.
But they were also saying that the second method, the RBT, was always approved in the EMCP as the secondary.
I never saw that, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we asked, I asked our attorney who's looking at this, a Riverkeeper, and that was the response that the RBT had been, was part of the approval. Again,
Should
the
they need it?
communication was
Right.
never, it was never made that, I mean, our assumption based on everything they had said was jet plow, jet plow, jet plow.
It
And
was
then
in
all
the
of a sudden,
appendix 5A under the morphology is where it was. The test for the RBT was in December 2023.
Mhm.
So it was a year and 3 or 4 months after we had done our pilot study.
yeah,
In Chelsea,
In
same
Chelsea,
area.
Town of Chelsea, same area. But without our knowledge.
Sure.
But they replicated the test that we did, the previous tool.
Did they share the results of the sampling?
Yeah, we have all the data.
That's
yeah,
no concerns.
Dottie and our advisors all looked at it and said,
yeah.
and approved it. Yes.
But again, they did the test in December. They suddenly published their study like yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's up on the website.
So if anything, the concern is more over the tactic than the actual impact in terms of.
Now that we've gone through the meeting and the discussion with them, our concerns have been mostly answered,
Yeah.
right? In terms of the technical part of the process. Not knowing was the confusing part, because they came past Rhinebeck a week ago. Did all the notifications, did all of the sampling, did everything. And we're going,
He thought was done, yeah.
done, right? They're past us. I'm waiting to hear from Esopus to where they're going, and waiting to see how it's going down there. All of a sudden I look online and the Avante is the name of the ship, something, whatever. Is-
Yeah.
It was down in the New York Harbor. So I call Randy, get Randy on the phone. Randy, what do you know? Are you hearing anything? Randy says, I haven't heard a thing. No news. All right. Radio silence here. Nick gets on, we hear then from Nick that through the sampling process, the boat operator, Luke, made a fraudulent slip and said, oh, by the way,
So we weren't even supposed to know.
That's what it seems like.
that's what it seems like. Unless you were actually following mile for mile segment of what they were doing.
Yeah.
They
They're
had
very
access to it.
unclear.
Yeah.
Because the laying the cable, I mean, as I understand, it's like laying the cable on the bed of the river.
Mhm.
You hear laying the cable, you think, okay, they're laying the cable in the trench, but it was very unclear what they were saying.
So now there's really three things. There's the jet plow, the RBT, which uses a surface, what's it called? Surface something, and then there's a wet lay. A wet lay means that they're just laying the cable and then they're gonna come back and match something. Right? So if it's a surface lay, they're coming back and gonna rebury it. Right? And they're gonna be a long time in the splice down at Esopus, because they're gonna get spliced in the cables.
So the cable's relayed now, at least from Rhinebeck down through to Esopus. And there are guard boats out monitoring the cable. It's not plugged in, it's just laying on the river bottom. Sea Scout watching, and maybe other vessels, I don't know, that are standing over and keeping tabs on traffic, making sure that the cable is not disturbed until the RBT comes back to put it into the river bottom 7 feet.
The RBT is working north of the bridge today, and they're gonna be doing the Village of Rhinebeck tonight. So we're prepared. It'll be the same process that we went through before with them, which we already thought they did it. In terms of the notifications have started to flow. All the communications are happening. The sample team is at my plant right now, taking all the pre-sampling and doing all of that work right now as we speak, in preparation for then the post-sampling, which will occur hopefully in the early morning hours. Tomorrow.
The communication leading up to the cable lay, I think we all agree was excellent. It
Mhm.
was just when we figured out that there had been a change in plans, and to me, that's kind of the key point that we should have been made aware of.
Mhm.
Because, people are wondering, that's been a big thing for for town of Esopus. We kind of started to put this all together the day of, I think it was the morning of my town board meeting. And so I did not want to go radio silent on my residents and on my town board, given all of the commotion that had taken place over the Labor Day weekend. So TDI did prepare some talking points for me so that I could just kind of explain to people what was going on. I think you had sent them out to the entire Hudson 7, right, Rebecca?
Yeah, just to piggyback, so the SOPIS found out and told us Wednesday of last week. We learned about it.
Our first day back to work, probably Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
We had a water treatment plant committee meeting already scheduled on Thursday. So we were able to bring all the water operators together who were available, get TDI on the line and talk through what was happening. And one of the conditions was that Danielle got talking points because she was going into her town board meeting that Thursday night.
Yeah. So I encourage you all to go through and read those.
We didn't send it to everybody yet. We sent it just to the water treatment plant committee.
Yeah.
But I think after having this conversation and there's some context.
Yeah.
We can share the materials with the full council.
And so how I teed it up was that the change, whether sudden or not, I don't really know. It happened because of them trying to commit to their permit requirements in the document. Just an example of what that means is use of this phased installation method is necessary to protect various resources such as sturgeon habitat, which is sensitive at certain times of year, submarine utility infrastructure located near many of the intakes. So it's like everything that they had to hit as a result of their permit requirements, plus vessel schedules, they also mentioned, plus changing river conditions. So that's the way that I was able to kind of make it all make sense in my head so that I could communicate out to my board and to the public about why this happened. But I do encourage you all to go in there and make of it, yourself. So
I'll send it tonight.
Yeah.
So at the end of our meeting today, I believe everybody still is on board in terms of the process and now what we now know of the procedure that's going to happen and how the testing is going to happen to make sure.
The good news is it was a good test run, right? So it's like now we know we've already done it once as it relates to the testing. And we had some things that we had to clean up on our side. So the first time around was a good test run for us.
Not that that's a good reason.
Not at all. No, but it's kind of like we know what we're getting into now. It was very new to us initially, so.
So can I get clarification on the method used for the RBT? So the fluidization, the term fluidization that Sabrina Taylor has used multiple times. She made it seem like jets spraying water, like high velocity water.
It is.
So is that in conjunction with a blade? Okay.
Yeah, I think
That's the way I understand it.
Okay.
It's a shear, not the plow that was
Sure.
done before with air moving
Right.
it back, but now it's more of a shear.
Okay.
being
With jets.
with jets.
Gotcha.
I can't open, we don't have Wi-Fi here where I can open, but Paul had sent an image of it this morning. And you might not have had a chance to look at all the emails today, but there is an image of it. I'll take a look at that, make sure that you got it.
Yeah, I think I did get it. I think I saw it, but when I heard you say shear just a little while ago, I guess.
I'm using their term.
Also on that pilot study, there's an explanation that we just got. So we can look at that too. I can pull that for you there.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
But believe me, if
We're good.
anything goes wrong at my site tonight, you're all going to hear about it very, very loudly.
Let's hope.
So we're on full alert right now.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly how it happened. It was like 2:00 in the morning and I was asking Luke, he wanted me to turn the plant on to give him a finished water sample while they were out in front of my intake. And leading up to him approaching the intake, he's asking me, can we get a finished water sample? And I said, no, not when you're out there. The plant's off. We've been talking about this for almost 3 years now and we're turning off. I said, does it make any sense to you to have my plan on when the jet plow comes by? He goes, oh no, we lifted the plow at mile marker 15 point, whatever. And it was, and that was it. So,
Well, thank you for that.
So he
no,
wanted
that's,
he
don't
wanted a
thank me.
sample just for laying it, relaying?
Yeah, so no, so there's a certificate they have to follow. Anytime they're in front of an intake, they have to follow the same procedure, even though a surface lay is non-disruptive maybe in a layman's term, because it's just laying the cable down, right? They still required by the certificate to follow the procedure.
Yeah.
All the notifications, all the testing, sampling, et cetera, just like they were doing if they were doing the final step.
Right.
Yeah.
So as Danielle said, it was a good trial run for all of us because now we know what to expect tonight, which we're going through tonight.
So they're gonna be sampling 3 times then, when they relay, then they have to cut it?
Twice.
And so are they
No,
cutting and
no, no,
laying it at the same time?
Now, the splice is south of,
South of me.
4 miles south.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, so
Yeah.
they
so
lay the
just-
cable down, they test. Hold on, let me finish. They lay the cable down and they test. Then they come back and they cut in a trench. They test again, then they come back and they bury it in the
no,
trench?
no. When they do step 2, remember how the jet plow dug the trench and laid the cable?
That's happening simultaneously.
This is happening simultaneously as well. The only difference is that the cable isn't coming off the boat and going down. Cable's on the river bottom
No, it
and being folded in.
Finish the
And
rock.
they're jet plowing too, part of the segment of the river where intakes are.
Down
I'm still not-
south of Hyde Park.
South of Hyde Park.
South of Hyde Park, they go back to burial, which you can see there.
Gary, did they give you any indication how long they're gonna be in your area or what to expect?
9 hours, which is what we talked about today.
Flower covered.
So that's the expectation.
Is that about the timeline that they?
It was 13 hours prior. For them to make that half mile journey.
Did Brian
they
shut
ran-
down
they
quarter
ran-
mile north and
What?
did Brian shut down quarter
Yes, we
mile
did.
north
Yeah,
and then open quarter mile south or
Yep.
half mile, quarter mile or half mile?
quarter mile.
Quarter mile, okay,
Now, for that half mile, we were totally shut down.
yeah,
So the pre and post sampling was done.
yeah,
And we could turn around and get some of the early turbidity results and everything back.
Yep.
And then Brian was comfortable to turn it back on.
Yeah.
We, just as every plant's different. In our plant for that 13 hours, we have a 2 million gallon tank. We dropped a quarter of the tank. Right? So that's how much volume we lost during that time. If we're doing it at nighttime like tonight, during the nighttime hours, we're expecting it to be minuscule in terms of what our losses, but a quarter of a tank was not alarming.
Mhm.
Right? But it just gave it a good sample, you know, what we're going through.
Mhm.
Any questions?
I'll just add that we've requested to review the testing results that come out of Rhinebeck, just so that we can kind of see what's going on as they're coming down the river. And just a suggestion for the other municipalities to request that if you haven't already, just so you can kind of see what's going on.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on. Rebecca, how about give us an update on the 3rd year PCB?
So the Friends of Clean Hudson, which is Riverkeeper, Scenic Hudson, and Clearwater, hosted a webinar to go over the draft 3rd 5-year review. It's out now, and there's a 3-month public comment period. And so they provided a recording of that and all the resources, as well as a municipal resolution that they drafted for municipalities if they want to review the resolution and use it as is or add to it, to submit to the EPA and any of the legislative reps during the 3-month public comment period. So you can sign on to Riverkeeper, or I don't know what Scenic Hudson has, their action alert. You can also take your own action. And so I'm bringing forward the municipal resolution for the Hudson 7 to consider, but we can also augment with any other concerns that we have with PCBs and drinking water, and submit the municipal resolution to the EPA by October the 22nd. I'm sorry, October the 8th is the deadline for comments, so that we have our own comments that are submitted and that municipalities can then use on their own counties as well, if they want to make comments unique to their body.
So the problem here is we're not gonna be able to meet again to collect results and then go back and do one for the Hudson Seven.
Right.
We could take the generic one that's already created, which is pretty in depth and covers it, and say, we can sign on and just use that as we also do support as a Hudson Seven. Unless you, as a municipality, you want to do it also on your own, you can do that. So the motion on the table is to use the municipal resolution that's been created to submit to the EPA.
Right, and it's urging the EPA to adopt a not protective determination during or following its final third year review. So we're just making, joining the chorus. There, Hudson Seven. So just to say, we could add anything that's specific to the Hudson Seven into the resolution language.
So I'm saying that has to be done tonight.
Yeah, well, we could get permission to do that, and then you could sign off when it's done. I could work with you.
Let's go procedure here. I made a motion, let's have a second. A second on the motion, we use a municipal, then we'll go into discussion. I have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Now,
Okay,
let's go into how we can do this.
so I could work with Dan or Drew or Shannon, who's not here, Shannon, who's our technical advisor, to find language that's specific to the Hudson Seven of any concerns that we want to add to this resolution that's generic, asking for a not protected determination. Happy to do that. We can get our concerns into the comments.
Everybody comfortable with that?
Does that sound good, Dan?
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, so we'll get that in.
Yeah.
You're gonna work with Drew. Okay. Sorry, Eric, welcome.
But this,
How about the County Fire Training Center? Any updates?
Yeah, sure. I'm a member of the CAC for Hyde Park, so I follow this site. It's in Hyde Park. It's in the southeast corner of Hyde Park. And Rebecca asked me to give a little overview about it. The county operates its fire training, and back in June 2020, the DEC first approached the fire training center and asked them to do a site characterization, take some samples because of PFAS issues. There's a surface water impoundment along the Fall Kill, which was tested, and they found elevated levels of PFAS. From that, they went into a remedial investigation, and they've so far completed 2 phases of a remedial investigation. So they found elevated levels of PFAS in the soil and in the groundwater and the overburden area. And just now, July 2024, they're going back and they're doing a 3rd round of an environmental investigation that's going on now, where they're putting wells into the bedrock and they're checking the groundwater quality in the bedrock at the site. I printed this out. Look at it. The 2 yellow boxes. This is what's already been completed, and the blue boxes are different milestones. So an important milestone is an approved remedial investigation report. After this round of testing, we're hoping that the state will get to the point where they have an approved investigation report. And that's, I would estimate, probably about a year away. Yeah. And then the items that follow after that are a feasibility study where you look at different alternatives. And then you pick one, and then the next phase after that is develop a remedial design. And then the 3rd is when that's implemented and you go into closure. But we're far from that right now. Now we're trying to get to the point where you have an approved remedial investigation where everybody agrees on the nature and extent of the problem. So that's what this 3rd phase of testing should be.
so just as a reminder, this issue is actually a part of our old business in our list. And it's something that Brad Barkley brought forward a few years ago. The facility sits on
the Fall Kill. Yes, it's on the Fall Kill, which is a tributary to the Hudson.
Right.
And so far, the surface water samples in the Hudson have not been really elevated with PFAS. They're in maybe the 10 to 20 nanograms per liter range, which, obviously, of course, you'd want to have nothing. You'd want it to be zero. But in the real world, PFAS is so prevalent, it's hard to find zero. 10 to 20 isn't really that alarming. And when you look at the great dilution between the site and the Falk Hill, and then the Falk Hill going into the Hudson, there is a lot of dilution.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, this group, what we do here is we find things like this and we monitor them, we watch them. So it definitely warrants watching. We should be on top of this. We should know what's going on, but it looks like the worst part of the problem is on the property. It's in the soil and in the groundwater on the property, and it doesn't look like there's large spikes going into the Falk Hill Creek. But we should still watch it.
That's a direct result from the fire suppression agents.
Yeah, they use AFFF, and it seems like I can show you some of this later when we break up. But there's one area where there's a large surface water impoundment where they got the highest concentrations of PFAS.
Are those chemicals still inside of the suppression agents that they currently use in 2024, or have the?
I think most people have phased out PFAS. I don't think it's used in firefighting anymore. It is used in other products. It's used
Plastics, right?
Teflon frying pans, Gore-Tex rainwear.
Yeah, it's in a lot of
The
products.
dental floss that works really well. That's really slippery.
Mhm.
It's in there. That's why it works so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost endless, the number of products it's in. Because there's thousands of chemicals in the family.
Right.
But the
what makes-
firefighting foams were a big source of concentrated source material.
All right, we gotta keep moving. Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks.
Okay, next on agenda. Our source water protection coordinator, Rebecca Martin, was approved to work for us for a year. It's now time for a renewal for Rebecca. Right, so, yes. So what I'd like to do is propose a resolution to renew Rebecca for the 24-25 Hudson 7 to continue doing her work. I have a second. Thanks, Devin. Discussion? Anybody want to fire her? You can leave the room now.
That was the result.
All in favor, say aye. So, thank you. Okay. Dan, anything we're going to talk about source protection? Michael, you're going to take the floor?
Yeah, we
Go
can
first,
jump
right?
into it.
Yeah.
May I just?
You got here.
Yeah, that'd be great. If I could just use the mouse while I go through the presentation, that might be easiest as possible.
You don't want to mess out on these.
You can also just say next
What?
slide.
Non-detect? Yeah.
You.
If you want to make it, well, I guess it's not
Where
a
was
screen or not, as long as people
I
can see
see
it.
it.
Yeah, we're gonna
Same, right?
do the full screen. Is that okay?
No, that'd be great. I thought you had to do that before hitting share. Maybe not.
Can we do this?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Start.
Sure. So for people who don't know me, my name is Mike Forging. I am the technical assistance provider working with DOH for the DWSP2 program. If you don't know what that is, it is the Drinking Water Source Protection Program. And we very, very briefly, we just provide free technical assistance to community water sources that are looking to protect their source water. And we provide that technical assistance from the implementation, from the moment we start working together and planning through implementation to the end. I'm working on the Hudson 7 DWSP2, and you go to the next one. Although it is an extremely complicated and large plan, the structure is the same as our others. So we work in 3 phases. We do assessment, strategy, and protection. In the assessment stage, we do an evaluation of your water system. And so we'll do things like water quality evaluations, water quantity evaluations. We'll do potential contaminant source inventories and map out all of the potential contaminant sources in your region. We'll make source water maps, which will have things like critical areas, the source water delineations, a bunch of different maps that could vary depending on plan. And then once we have all of that material, we start to strategize and we kind of define like the meat of the plan, which is the priority issues for this DWSP2. Then we create the protection and management methods, go through to implementation. I actually need to kind of fly through this for sake of time. And that's where we are right now. Right now, we're planning the implementation of this plan and we're about to move into actual implementation. But before we dig into that too much, can you go to the next slide? I just want to go back to the source water maps real quick, just so you have some context for what we're about to talk about. The first thing we have to do is delineate a source water area for our water sources. And for the Hudson 7, that was a unique challenge because your source water area is like 12,400 square miles, I believe.
So the cursor in case you just want to
Thank you.
point things.
And so this down here, where we have the red boundaries, these are the Hudson 7 municipal boundaries, tiny area down there. And so the subcommittee group has put a lot of time into defining a source water boundary that is more useful for a plan like this, something we can actually focus on and make progress on. And this is the extent of that source water boundary.
There's that one right in the middle.
And so looking at this again, I guess I could just left that where it was. Oh, sure. So in this map, you have the intakes. These are these black and white dots here. You have the Lloyd upland intakes. You have the Hudson 7 municipal boundaries. And these are the contributing watersheds that discharge into the Hudson River in the stretch that contains the Hudson River intakes. So it's very, I guess I'll just try to be as concise as possible. These over here, these watersheds that are shaded blue, they have their own separate DWSP2 plans already. And so they're not a focus of this, although we strongly emphasize that plan management teams from plan to plan coordinate throughout implementation because it just makes everything more efficient. But then if you look here again, where you see the municipal boundaries, zooming into that spot right here, we also have what is defined as the municipal management zone, which is this highlighted area here. And this area is a combination of the Hudson 7 municipal boundaries, the mid-Hudson nearshore boundary, which is basically just the drainage area in that central region that sort of fits pretty close to the Hudson 7 municipal bounds. And so those are combined. And those are combined because within that area, the Hudson 7 has a unique ability to implement more useful strategies and methods. And then the green area there is the critical area, which is defined here as a 1,000-foot buffer along the Hudson River and a 300-foot buffer along the major tributaries within the municipal management zone. And this is that same municipal management zone, but with the potential contaminant sources plotted out here. Was there a question?
Could you go back to the slide? Can I add one point here?
Yes.
The committee.
Actually, I don't know if I can go back.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, like Mike said, this is, uniquely complicated to try and make a plan like this for the Hudson. I've participated in a couple of these with other communities with different types of water sources. So you can imagine like a well field's going to have, the area where the rainfall and percolates in, and that's the critical zone, period. We called these management zones rather than that critical zone because we still have these open questions around how far away certain contaminant sources might be and still be a concern. We just talked about the fire training center, it's a PFAS source right next door, but is it directly, is it a acute concern or not? So we didn't want to call it critical zones. We want to call them management zones to imply these are where we can take actions within these zones or different entities can, but without leaving the impression that we had settled those questions because they're open questions. They're really important that we don't imply that if there is a concern that lies just outside this map, that somebody says, well, it's not on the map. It's not in the mapped area. So, don't come to us with that concern. We wanted to make sure that we can, have that flexibility going forward because there's still those unknowns.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So for the sake of time, we'll just jump right into the meat of this. These are the priority issues for the plan. And so there are 6 priority issues. First is to create an emergency notification system and update emergency response plans. Well, to get a better understanding of the current emergency notification system would be a better way to word that. And then we have the pilot source water monitoring efforts, along with the research agenda associated with that, education and outreach efforts, watershed management, utility coordination and shared services, and interagency coordination to align state and federal policies. And so there are a lot of words on a couple of these slides. I apologize. I always try to avoid that, but with this specific circumstance, we need you to kind of see the language and understand. So this first priority issue, the emergency notification system, stakeholders want to understand and improve spill prevention policies to ensure they are notified with enough time to begin monitoring or shutting off their intakes in the event of a large spill. This would ultimately materialize in a tabletop exercise that would test the regional notification chain from contaminant detection to the Hudson 7 treatment plan notification. Additionally, we could sign up at least one Hudson 7 contact for all relevant existing contaminant notification chains, such as USGS Water Alert and New York Alerts. But going back to the tabletop exercise, participants from that exercise will be able to update any relevant emergency response plans to reflect these new details as a whole, so that everyone's on the same page. The second priority issue is a big one, the pilot source water monitoring and research. So Hudson 7 is interested in understanding key water quality variables associated with regulated and emerging contaminants. Research interests include defining an ongoing source water monitoring program, refining the understanding of potential contaminant sources across the source water area, determining variability of source water quality, and communicating this data to New Yorkers through our outreach. And the Hudson 7 will partner with Riverkeeper and others to develop this regional watershed sampling plan. And I know that Dan and Shannon have a lot more to talk about with that. Maybe not all for today, but in the near future. For education outreach, this is a little broader, but we like to encourage this with all of our plans. The Hudson 7 had some good ideas for this. So basically, we would conduct outreach to municipal officials and staff, communities, and local businesses and organizations to promote source water protection practices. Stakeholders can distribute source water educational material to their system customers. The Hudson 7 can identify priorities that overlap with MS4 permit compliance requirements and possibly incorporate a source water protection component into that stormwater management program. For Hudson, the watershed management, so this kind of goes back to that, like the municipal management zone section that map we were showing you. The Hudson 7 can enact exemplary watershed protection policies within its municipalities, or really within that boundary we were showing, to stand as guidelines for other Hudson River watershed communities. And then the Hudson 7 is conducting a code review for each municipality to identify model provisions and specific recommendations that the other Hudson 7 municipalities can then adopt as well. 5, the utility coordination and shared services. So we would maintain working relationships with treatment plant operators as you have been, ensure that they have the resources they need, and continue the good outreach efforts like the water treatment plant tours and the operator appreciation week. And just kind of touching on the shared services agreement plan that you've mentioned before, but just building on that to support the DWSP2 with things like utilizing Poughkeepsie's equipment and water testing capabilities. And finally, 6, the interagency coordination to align state and federal policies. So this is really like, sorry. So when Dan first suggested this, I thought it was really interesting. And the more we think about it and where we talk about it with our team, we realize that this kind of thing could really benefit a lot of plans. Mm-hmm. But it really just shows that to address risks within the Hudson 7 source water area, Hudson 7 should continue focusing on engaging and coordinating agency contacts to ensure state and federal efforts reflect the goals outlined on this plan. So basically just keeping everyone on the same page. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I think anyone who's worked with government knows that's not always the case. And so this kind of thing is extremely important. So we had the subcommittee group. We usually call it the stakeholder group, and it's a subcommittee group for this plan. We had them essentially build the plan, and now we're going to create a plan management team to carry that into implementation and see it through. That team will consist of an interdisciplinary group of individuals that you can choose, representing a range of municipal, state, and community organizations. And Rebecca Barton will be the PMT, the plan management team point of contact. And finally, The approval process is very straightforward. It usually takes about 2 months, and I'm hoping to get this submitted by early to mid-October, but I mean, we can do what we can, but I think that can be done, especially mid-October. And after we submit it for review, if there are any adjustments that people feel should be made, we can do that. It's not finalized. It's not like we can't touch it after it's submitted. And now I will hand it off to Dan.
Great. That's Mike. So I wanted to be a little more colloquial for a couple slides, but just to remind ourselves that we've come a long way. Slide on the left. I don't remember exactly when we took this plant tour, but it was early on. Some of us have younger faces. Some of us aren't here anymore. We've switched out. I think it's a sign of strength, right? Like the group's going strong. You see some strong Esopus representatives there. We have strong Esopus representatives here, totally different, so it's a good reminder. We came together, we created this report early on, even before the council formed. That was a first step in this process. I went back and reviewed that. We've completed a lot of those steps that were in there. Chief among them was forming the council. And there's Gary signing his part in forming the intermunicipal council in 2018 when we finally came together. A lot of the things that were left undone from that plan really are incorporated into in some form into this next DWSP2. So most communities don't start with this running start. So it's a whole different, even though it's a more complicated plan, we also are coming from a different place. How do I go forward here? The other thing to remember, I keep remembering, this is historic. It's already been historic, this work, but this is the first plan that's ever been, I went back, like the 1987 Hudson River Estuary Management Act was a big state law. Doesn't mention drinking water, doesn't appear. I did a word search.
Wow.
So this is the first time that there has been a plan that says this is drinking water. We need to protect it as such. Not that there aren't programs and plans to address different bits of it. This is the first time it's in one place. I also think it's important that once we get through the approval, this will be a state approved plan. It doesn't mean gives us new enforcement authority. It doesn't, it doesn't direct the state. It can't, because it's a locally driven plan, it can't do all the things we would want to do. We want to be able to say, Coast Guard, just don't let any bad, substances go on the river in this stretch ever. Can't do that, right? We can only act within our zone, but it's state approved. So that means we can point to it forevermore and say, like, look, it said in the plan that we need the help of all the agencies to coordinate around this. And so come to our aid, it's an anchor that I think will be really valuable into the future for whatever issues arise. It'll be a reference point as we do, shift leadership and change membership over time. And also, I think it's important to remember it's a 5-year time horizon. So it gets revisited. This isn't like trying to do everything under the sun. It's what can we do in 5 years? And I think it's some good things. So one thing for all the municipal leaders, especially Mike and I, or, our surrogates, can take this presentation on the road. We really want each of the municipalities to feel bought in. So if that means your council, or your CAC or whomever really, needs that or wants that, like we want to do that because we want to really make sure people are proud of it and bought in and want to be, know they're part of this and implement it. As Mike said, the plan implementation team will be kind of the core of making sure we make the progress. And there's obviously work going on that will continue. The source water monitoring, Mike, we decided we wanted to focus on as an example. It's a new thing. We're seeking funding. So we hope to line up, if we win some grants, that might start next year, even, maybe not before the plan's approved, but like on its heels. So we're moving on the new things, even as we're continuing as you all are continuing the existing actions. So the council will have a role, but there are, municipal roles in here. And that's another reason why we really want to go to the municipalities and make sure there's buy-in. Because if the code review, for instance, shows you could tune up your local wetlands law or something, you don't want it to come out of left field. We want, the council members to be champions for that and to have the backing of the council, whatever support we can give as a group, but to make sure that we want to carry those things forward, or if it's making sure your operators are working, to update those emergency plans, whatever it is. So we really want to take it to the municipalities kind of in parallel with the state approval process. That's it.
It's one thing quick to build onto you saying that, well, we were talking about other municipalities possibly having us give them a presentation.
Yeah.
I can make it a little more user friendly,
Yeah.
a little less wordy since it's not the council. It can be a little more intuitive and, audience friendly.
Yeah, you can tell us
technical thing, but
tell us how many minutes you need to hit, whatever, we can tune it to the audience.
A couple of quick questions.
Yes.
Last month, we decided to do this presentation in order to send it out to all the municipalities of the Hudson 7 to look at it, review it, maybe share it with their boards, councils, trustees, legislators, and see if there's interest in having Hudson 7 come and relay the message. So that's the plan, right? That's the next step. And then you'll, depending on interest, we hope that there is.
Yeah.
That we'll cater the presentation to the body.
yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is our invitation for you to invite us if you want us.
And just.
Would you be presenting it to the CAC or to it's the supervisor and the different elected officials?
I mean, I think I would personally, I think we'd want to go to the supervisor and the mayors of the towns if possible, but we'll meet whatever interests, we'll try to meet whatever interests out there within whatever time we can give. So.
Because we have town board meetings on Monday nights, so would that be, and then how long of a presentation would you say it is?
I don't know. How long did we just take?
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But like I said, we can tailor it a little bit if there's not that much time or if there's more time.
I
about
think
we need.
Hyde Park would be interested in.
Yeah. Great.
We'll send this out with that invitation.
Yeah.
We can,
We'll start scheduling.
yeah. And
I can at least forward it to the right people.
Yeah. And you've seen at least this version. This is, V1. If you're sitting here thinking like I was fine, but make it different in these ways to land with the audience, just help us out. We'll make it land.
Well, one thing that's not clear to me is, so what is being submitted? We didn't see anything. We saw a map and we know that there's a cost estimate document that we're working on to address all of those items.
Yeah, it's a good point. We should probably make the presentation when there's a solid draft that's going or
That makes
something
sense.
to share so that there's a document that.
And they know that this is going to the state.
Yeah.
And that even though it's going to the state, there's still opportunities for bodies to review it and make comments to it.
Right. I mean, this is ultimately is the plan of the council, its members. So.
Yeah, I talked to the state. They have no problem with you sending the draft around as long as it's clear it's a draft. There's no problem. Yeah.
So what is it? Is it I haven't seen it. Is it a?
It's a document, it's like what, I don't know, 40 pages, something.
With figures, it's more, but it's maybe the document itself is like roughly 20 something pages and there's quite a bit of figures, maps, stuff like that.
Would it be okay to send the presentation with a copy of the draft to the municipalities, which would give them the chance to review it as well as look at the presentation and then be in touch if the members want to talk to you after reviewing the document?
And you mean after we finalize everything and get the tables filled in and everything is what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're ready.
Yeah, the document's not quite ready for that.
It's very
level,
close.
but it's close.
It's very
yeah.
close. Yeah.
Okay.
At some point within the next couple of months.
Yes, definitely within,
Should I wait then to send?
Yeah, why don't we, that's a good point. So we'll put together like a package of, here's what to share and so here's the invitation.
And then we can share this with that.
Yeah.
And then Gary, Danielle, the leadership of the council can review it and decide what they want to do with it. Give it to a CAC to come or invite everybody to be at the presentation after they review.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of you presented at a town board meeting to the supervisor and the 4 different board representatives.
Yeah.
At the end, I think you should tell them what you want them to do.
Mhm.
Now that we've explained all of this to you, this is what we want from you.
What are
Right.
the action items?
Yeah, right.
Right.
To clarify, when you say you're sending it out, you're gonna send it out to the supervisors, mayors directly, or are you going to ask for those communities reps to be in on that as well? Because I can tell you, if you send it to Sue, she's just gonna send it to me.
Well, I think what we would probably do is send it to the leadership of each of the counties and who represented you, the leadership,
Yeah.
right?
Which would include you
Which would
then.
include you to be able to talk to your to the county to see what their interests are, if the legislature is interested. And there will be a letter that says, here's the draft, here's the presentation, you can watch it. Here's what we'd like you to do in preparation for.
In Dan's and Devin's case, so like, it's a good point. A little bit different.
Yeah.
I think you would have to be able to get it and then put some cover letter on it to skip.
I don't know
it.
if you got the meeting, but maybe like when we get there, let's talk because the county has handled uniquely.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
agree. I agree.
And are there any milestone dates with this that we need to know about? Does anything need to be done by a certain date?
No, we're just trying to push it towards the finish line.
Yeah, we're just trying to get done. We've put a lot of time into it. I think we have everything together. We're just getting the final pieces in place and we should have it submitted within a month, I hope. So, yeah, so.
So sorry.
And we should have asked, I know we're out of time, but if there's if in the room here, any thoughts on those actions or the goals as they're expressed that you're looking at and having positive or negative reactions to, it would be good to hear.
And if there's any concern about a priority issue being maybe like a little ambitious, the DOH does provide you a free consultant to do as much as they can for the first year or so. So they'll take care of either your first 1 to 3 priority issues, depending on how much time it takes, or they'll give you a year. It's really flexible. So they're not going to pull them away from you. Basically, it's a really unusual circumstance where the state is just giving you a tremendous amount of financial resources to do this plan for you. And then you pick up from there afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
With whatever, yeah. And we'll help you with funding for everything else as well.
Any other questions? We got to keep moving here. We're over time and we have any other questions on it? Thank you. This is all on good work.
Thank you.
We need to get to it. Okay, we're gonna move on. Last meeting, we talked about the Hudson 7 organizational structure and we said we would come back with an order of bylaws and to review going forward. Going through the process and working with Ian McDonald, what we discovered was bylaws as part of our process can happen at any time, and we can modify it and amend, bring forward, do like we've done as we've done with this organization. But the most critical step is you need to get a certificate in to get started. And getting that certificate in doesn't bind you to anything. It just binds you to saying you can now have an organization and you can get to review and we can start the process. And what we're recommending, if you could bring up the certificate, please, is that we file the certificate for the 501c3 as we've discussed in the past.
Can't pull it up on here, but it's in everybody's source material.
Right. And I hope you read through that. And with that, we can start the process. And the process then is to define what our bylaws are. We're proposing to really take our current leadership team, which will be the primary, will be on the board. The 4 members of the executive team will be there. And our current bylaws will be pretty much the same as what we have today. Legal has reviewed those bylaws and said, you can really just start with this. You can go forward with how you define your organization, how you have the organization set up, how you've done everything, and then start working on refining that as you go through the process to do. But the most critical step is to get the certificate into the state for the approval. So we're ready to file that certificate today. Legal has completed all the work required to file for the 501c3 because it's going to take several months for that to get through the process. So I'd like to make a motion that we be able to file a certificate of incorporation to the state of New York. I have a second.
Sure.
Discussion.
Quick question. So when you say that the bylaws for the council as it exists now can basically just be used temporarily as they are, the bylaws stipulate that all of the municipalities and 2 counties have membership. Should we not, or do we not need to get our leadership, make them aware? Or is there a way to make the bylaws that we submit not stipulate that section? And then as we work through it, we can pull that language in? Because I feel like I need to get this on the county executive's radar that Dutchess County and Sue as the primary is now going to be associated with a nonprofit. That's the concern I have. I'm not saying that she
She's not associated any different than what she is today.
Well, it's a little different, I think, to have an elected official associated with an intermunicipal government group
The
versus.
fact that
nonprofit.
the fact that you as their representative is serving on a 501c3.
Right, but she's also, I'm secondary, right? So
Right.
she's primary. So she has no idea that this is
I
happening.
understand
So
that.
I just want to make sure, I'm not trying to derail this. I want to vote on this. Can we maybe make the bylaws somehow, can we, about that section or something?
So we can, and that's what I mentioned. If you want, we can set up a separate discussion
Yeah,
and we can go forward and say, let's look at this section of bylaws. And
okay,
let's see what's appropriate. But I don't want it to hold up getting the certificate in. I think we should take that next action. And look at that in detail and answer those questions, and we can do that as a working group as we've done.
Can I just, so one of the questions Devin asked when we spoke the other day was whether or not Devin being put into the certificate of incorporation meant that Devin was now serving on the 501c3.
As board member.
Right, and I had reached out to Ian, I didn't hear back to clarify, because I wasn't clear whether or not it meant if it was just founding members that were added into the certificate of corporation, or if it meant that these members are absolutely going to serve on the 501c3, which I don't think is the case. So I just wanted to clarify that to answer your question about.
so I think, and I don't want to,
Can I help?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is forming a corporation, and these people will be its directors until you change that to something else.
That's
Right.
clear, that's clear.
so I'd like to amend the motion to clarify that at this time, Dutchess County would not want to be an official director. Once we get through the details of the board, I think we could, but my understanding is you only need 3.
Correct.
So you should, that should hopefully not derail this process by me saying that.
So you would prefer as Dutchess County not to be listed as one of the directors yet?
Yeah, until we get through the bylaws and the details and I can run this by our county executive. Of course, we're still remaining on the council as it is.
Yeah,
Good, thanks, Emily.
Thanks, and
that's your prerogative.
I just have to make sure I'm not signing her up for anything that she's not comfortable with.
Correct.
But I'm excited to see this go forward.
Yeah. All right, any other discussion? All in favor of submitting the certificate of incorporation, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Moving forward. Thank you. We'll get to the next step and we'll get working on the bylaws now.
And it takes forever to get through the IRS, so you've
Yes.
got it at least another year. Because the Arlington bid is trying to become a 501c3 and it's months.
Yep. Well, here you can go camp out if you want, but
Oh, no.
I'm not willing to sleep on their floor up there.
Oh, no, we have Pat Ryan sleeping on their floor and it's doing us no good.
Real.
Yeah. Yeah, his people have been trying to walk it through and it's still taking months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
awareness as well. That's why I want to get this process started.
So I'm a little bit less concerned about the 501c3.
Right.
Because it'll definitely
Okay.
be next year.
Thank you, Ann. All right, a quick update on the committee, please. Good.
The water treatment plant committee's been meeting and working with water treatment plant operators and have identified our own unique educational opportunity for water treatment plant operators. Sourcing drinking water from the Hudson. So it's great. We have selected an opportunity. I'm sorry, I'm just moving around here. On the conditions of the river and drinking water. And so Randy is going to be teaching this course and we're going to get credits for the operators. So it's a unique first Hudson 7 educational opportunity for water treatment plant operators sourcing Hudson River drinking water. And so it's just a matter, Randy has fleshed something out. It's in your source materials. We'll be writing it up. We'll be submitting it for credits and we'll proceed. And thanks so much to Nick and to Paul and Randy and Dottie and for all of their work on this. And we think we'll launch it during next year's annual water plant treatment plant operator celebration. And maybe it can coincide with the DWSP2 as well, something like that. So good work.
Okay, thank you. I don't think there's an update for Lower Socos Creek, right?
No, just that we submitted that, we signed on to the letter that Paul had asked.
We did that last.
And it's here just for your review and also in our motions document.
All right, it's still on my task list is to go through these old list of items, put together a team. We asked for volunteers. I haven't heard anybody yet step forward to want to help me go through this list of old business items. But if you're still interested or anybody's interested, please reach out
What is the task? I can help you.
to go through this old business
Just to
list.
see if they're still relevant.
Yes.
I can help you with that.
All right. Thank you, Dan. We'll do that. All right.
Great, that's it.
I make a motion to adjourn our September meeting. Have a second?
Second,
Everybody wants to stay?
That's the easy one. Come on.
All in favor, say aye.
meeting, so hey.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you all.
Right, Emily?
So it's just,